I'm Craig Fisher, and this is Inside Talent, where we take you into the minds behind the scenes and show you some of the coolest tools and best practices of some of the coolest people in the talent industry. This episode of Inside Talent is brought to you by Eightfold. Eightfold's deep learning talent intelligence platform is powered by the largest global talent data set to unleash the full potential of the total workforce: employees, candidates, contractors, and citizens. To learn more, visit eightfold.ai. I'm Craig Fisher. This is Inside Talent. I am here with Andrea Shiah, newly with Eightfold, who is a proud ATAP Global TA Day sponsor. And we're very excited to have Andrea here. She is the head of talent strategy and transformation at Eightfold. So, Andrea, how are you? Tell us about you. What's going on?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Craig. I'm really happy to be here. So I am, as you said, a part of the Eightfold family. My experience, though, is really diverse. I previously worked at American Express for 25 years. I had a wide range of jobs there. I think I worked for every business unit. I've done everything from manage our top accounts at American Express. I've managed the Platinum Centurion card at American Express. I've even managed payroll at American Express. And my last role that I had was leading the talent acquisition function. And I kind of came in to the role with a business mindset, took a look at the function and decided there was a lot of opportunity for improvements. So for the past 2.5 years, led a transformation of the function and talent acquisition function at American Express. Eightfold was part of the solutions that we launched to transform. I was amazed by the value that the functionality delivered. And because of that, I decided to join Eightfold and become part of their team.
So I've seen this with some other HR tech companies in our space. I'm an advisor to a lot of these companies, and Paradox, which is another kind of AI chatbot kind of play, not like Eightfold, not even really a competitor, brought in their champion from McDonald's. And so now we see this with you, which is really cool. And it's a great way for the tech vendors in this space to be able to tell those stories, right? I mean, what better, advocate could they get than someone who brought their technology into a company like Amex, and I know you had fun doing that. I was there for a little bit of it with Allegis, and came and did I think it was a digital transformation presentation to your group with a whole bunch of vendors that day, time ago, lifetimes ago, you said earlier.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it is lifetimes ago in our practice, because if you think about it, even 3 years ago, where the talent acquisition practice is very different than where it is today. I think the vendors and solutions that have emerged, much of them emerged over those 3 years. And so I think it's an interesting time to be in talent acquisition. There's a lot of appetite for transformation. There's a lot of solutions now to choose from. And so I think it's a really exciting time. I think talent acquisition people tend to be people who like to be really busy, like to juggle a lot of balls,
right.
Like to do a lot of different things. And this is perfect for talent acquisition because, this is a great time to really solve for how do you help the company achieve their objectives when there's a lot of crazy trends that are going on, right, that make it really important. So it's definitely an exciting time in talent acquisition.
So it is, and there's so many crazy things happening, right? My company does basically, we help with funnel marketing for talent attraction, and we look at everything from start to finish, the candidate's experience through onboarding, and spot all the gaps and do spot solutions with tech and messaging and branding and process improvement. And much like what I did at Allegis, I led that group at Allegis. And, one of the things we're seeing is a big appetite for better internal mobility options, right? And so you did an interesting thing, right? You brought recruiting back in-house at Amex, and you sort of figured out that global or internal mobility thing. And that probably involved upskilling and all kinds of other ways to reactivate your internal employees. And Eightfold's got some brilliant solutions for that. So why don't you talk a little bit about that and how that worked with what you've done before and what you're seeing for the future?
Yeah. So what was interesting was when I originally was implementing Eightfold, I thought, wow, this matching capability, this is great. To help people understand, there's 5,000 jobs out there and you can't tell what the job description even really means in terms of the role. And the matching is the perfect solution to kind of bring together the employee, the right skills with the job. But then when I implemented it, I actually felt like it brought so much more than what I even realized.
Okay.
So what I think is important to understand, that I think is really the most important thing that anybody in talent acquisition has as a tool, is just that deep understanding about skills and potential. Really understanding for whether it's your employees or any candidates, or even contractors, like what skills are they bringing to the table? And then at the same time, defining what skills that you need to drive business results for the different roles you have in your company. And that insight and understanding is what brings everything together. And if I can give you an example, like if you look at a particular role, let's just say product management. I think that's a very common role for most companies. Everybody has a product or service they're selling. Um, what Eightfold has is they have half the world's workforce worth of data, right? And so with that, they can take a look at skills, they can take a look at companies worked for, they can take a look at geographies, and they understand the relationship between all those things. So as a result, they can take a look at, let's say, product management, and they can look at all the skills that are typically held by anybody in a product management role. And also, even what are the skills that develop over time for those
Mhm.
people that are in product management. So if you understand things like that, you can understand, like, what are the emerging skills? What are skills that the top companies or the best in class companies have for these type of roles? So for example, one of the things that emerges when you talk about these best in class companies is user experience, is critical as a skill for a product manager. And I think if you look at a lot of companies in their roles, they might not have that skill as a requirement. And it's really critical. It makes sense to have that skill. So these are all the things that you can understand. You can set up the requirements for the job and then find the candidates that have those skills. You can even look at candidates that have the high potential to learn that skill. So again, just understand the skill details and the relationship between that. You can identify someone has a business development skill. They have a very high likelihood of being able to move into a product management role and develop the skills needed for that role. So there's all kinds of really amazing things that you can do, with an understanding, a deep understanding of skills.
Well, and so now Eightfold has enough data, right, going back a few years, that the matching is, like you said, it's really on point and it's really expanded, right? You can think of, we do this with title expansions for jobs on Indeed or on the Facebook jobs marketplace, right? You say product manager, but it could also be, VP of product or
Yeah.
product associate. I mean, there's lots of different names that people might search for to call it that. And the problem that we see with employees in internal mobility is once they come in the door, we never see their updated resume, right? But Eightfold has the ability to extrapolate from the original resume. How long have they been on the job? What's the job entail? And then go get open web data even to update those profiles, right?
Absolutely. They're able to tap into public data and really kind of build kind of the individual and their skill and their experience background. they can even compare like how their skill and career movement compares to others that have been successful in the job.
Mhm.
So it's really kind of powerful when you have a deep understanding of skills and skills backgrounds and the trends between jobs, skills, titles, and even regions of the world or country or the are just so powerful to understand kind of how that all fits together and predict someone's likelihood to be successful.
Right. Yeah, and that whole capability of predictions now is very popular, right, internally. And it's sort of the future of employee engagement, I think, and team building. And managers get great insight from this, right? Because we actually helped. So I helped to build a total talent platform at one point that we were going to help DXC technology roll out internally, where employees internally could bid on jobs or pieces of work um, to do and make extra money, which it's a brilliant concept. It never quite got off the ground there, not the way they wanted it to, but I have a feeling that with Eightfold, something like that would be much easier to land.
Yeah, absolutely. Because so what's great is if a company defines a role and what's really important in the skills of the for that role, it can become very transparent to everybody in the company.
Hmm.
And you can actually see very clearly, here's the skills I have. Here's the direction I want to head. What skills do I need to build? And so I can either develop them and learn those. I can sign up for projects. I can even find a mentor because you
Yeah,
can identify who has that skill already,
right.
to help you really get there. It's like a support system to help you get to the direction of the career that you really desire. And I think projects is a really important element of that. And I think Eightfold can make that very transparent because you're signing up for a project with an intention to go in the direction you want your career to go, and that's where it all like comes together so beautifully.
All right. So
Yeah.
that said, you've done all these crazy things over 25 years at Amex, and now your new trajectory in the HR technology space. Where does Andrea Shaw want her career to go?
Oh gosh. That's a big question. You didn't prepare me for that, Craig. um, so I feel like, I've worked 25 years in American Express and probably another 10, 15 years before that. And
Hmm.
so at this point in my career, I really kind of want to deliver value. And I think if I think about what ultimately Eightfold's trying to accomplish, they're just trying to take, people and help them match them to their right job.
Hmm.
So there's something really, really great and meaningful about that, right? Because if you take people and you match them to their right job, like everybody wins. The organization wins, people win, they're satisfied, they're fulfilled with their day, and they're able to drive results. So there's something so meaningful. I mean, Eightfold's what Eightfold's tagline is the right career for everybody in the world. And I feel like that really connects, to me. So what I'd like to try to do is help them really kind of expand, their solution set, because that's the most efficient way to get to that outcome. And I'm kind of really so amazed and impressed by things that they already have in place, right? So they were just announced as kind of the matching engine for 110, and that's really helping find the right roles for Black Americans. They've signed, they have an account with the state of Indiana and helping individuals whose jobs were impacted by the pandemic and helping them find right roles. Because I think we all know like roles and demand for roles shifted from one place to another.
Oh yeah.
And so these are all like, if you really think about meaning and being able to help, these are great things to enable. And so I think my next step in my career here at Eightfold is just kind of helping make these things happen as much as I can, because I think it's really a great outcome at the end of the day.
So I love that. That's a perfect story for Eightfold and for you. And Are you going to be working directly with customers as well as internally building out process and expanding the product?
Yeah, so I feel like my experience has been pretty deep. I started working with Eightfold as a vendor almost 3 years ago, so it's pretty early days for Eightfold, and really had the opportunity to implement and kind of have the product take life. And so I spent a lot of my time thinking about, like, what do I want out of this? How do I represent this, to my leadership? How do I bring this to life within my organization globally? And so I feel like with all that, it took a lot of a lot of time and energy. Um, I can bring those insights to others. Not everybody has the same objectives that Amex had, but I know I thought a lot about so many things related to what Eightfold can enable, that I can help bring some insights or shed some light on things to consider, ways the solution can work to help towards these objectives. So that's most of my focus. Will be working with, leaders in the industry, whether they're existing accounts of Eightfold or, potential accounts, just helping them think about, how do I transform? How do I get to where I want to go? And how can I be successful?
So I like that you said that, because we know that a lot of the current solutions can be used in different ways, right? So a people aggregator isn't just a people aggregator, right? Some of these tools can do various things that others can't. But a matching tool like Eightfold can be used for a number of things and tweaked for a customer specification, because there's no silver bullet, right? You can't just take a template and say, okay,
Mhm.
we did this here, it can work perfectly here. You might be able to do a little bit of a lift and shift, but with someone like you understanding the problem at a customer level and saying, I know this tool and it can solve your problem this way instead of this way. Uh,
Yeah.
every HR tech vendor needs something like that.
Absolutely. Because I was saying to you earlier, as I was talking about Eightfold, I thought I was rolling out a matching solution. And then as I understood it more, once we kind of enabled, the functionality, I realized, oh, wait, if I can understand skills, all of a sudden my ATS platform and all the millions of applicants for roles that I've had for the past few years
Right.
become my candidate database.
Yes.
Oh, wait, look at that. I can even understand who's applied. I can understand, like, that is so powerful. I also looked at, how does this help me build diversity and inclusion in our candidate slates? There's so much enabled. How do I participate in events? Like, wow, this is so efficient. It was incredible, all the things that it enabled for us as I looked at it, and even the tools for hiring leaders. As a matter of fact, when, in a crunch, when the hiring demand, the number of jobs really spiked up, Eightfold enabled hiring leaders to play more of a role in terms of building the slates and screening the slates directly, because it gave the insights on the matching. Like, it already kind of pushed things forward for them, that you didn't really need a recruiter to do so much of that upfront work for them. So in a pinch, we were able to find solutions that helped us in many different situations. And I think there's going to be more that's going to be uncovered along the way, for sure.
Well, that's great. You will be sharing some of the data you've amassed for Eightfold at ATAP's Global TA Day. And you're going to do I think you're going to do a 30-minute presentation there. That's September 1st. And for those of you listening ahead of time, you can get to information about that at globaltaday.com. Registration is free. And we thank Eightfold for being a sponsor. So, Andrea, you told me a couple of things earlier that are fascinating about you. First of all, you've got twin daughters, just graduated from college, and that's amazing. I've got three boys,
Oh,
one's in college and two in high school. Yeah. And so I can't wait to be in the position that you're in. Kid, I love them. I don't ever want them to leave my house. And then you've also swam the East River under the Brooklyn Bridge. That is, a lot of people would say that's crazy. What was the scenario there?
Um, I don't know. It's like, why do you climb a mountain? Because it's there, I suppose. I grew up swimming competitively, and it was just an opportunity to do and try. And I've done some outdoor, competitions, swimming competitions, and so this felt like the ultimate challenge. I mean, the good news is, the waterways around Manhattan are a lot cleaner than they used to be.
Right.
And I survived. So, and it's a story to tell.
That is a great story to tell. Well, all right. Andrea Shiah, thank you so much for joining me today, and we appreciate your time, and we'll look forward to seeing you soon.
Yeah, thank you so much, Craig. Really enjoyed joining your podcast. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Inside Talent. Learn more about the future of talent today at insidetalent.org, where you can sign up for regular updates, and you can subscribe to our podcast on iTunes or your favorite podcast app.